In this lesson video, I'm going to continue developing the tip calculator application that we will be working throughout this course section. And in the last lesson, I went ahead and created a new activity and a new layout, the activity underscore splash layout and the splash activity Java file. And we just set a little bit of text on here called tip calculator. Now this activity we want to load up first. And so we're going to have to make a couple different modifications, but I want it to load up only for a moment and then switch back over to our main activity. So that's the idea behind this application, is to first load this screen and then load our main activity or activity main layout after time has elapsed. And so that's what a purpose of the splash screen is going to be. In order for us to do that, I need to set a timer. And we're going to do that by doing two different things. I have to create what's called a timer task, which is going to be the actual event that happens after the time has elapsed, and then the timer itself, which we're going to use to set a specific amount of time. So let's go ahead and switch over to the splashactivity.java file to do this. And all of this needs to happen once the activity is created. So I'm going to do everything within the onCreate method, which means I need to add a little bit of space to write some code. So I'm going to go ahead and space down line 13 just to move that closing curly brace down. So now let's go ahead and write some code. I'm going to go ahead and create that timer task, and give it a name. Let's go ahead and call it just task. I'm going to set it equal to a new timer task. And I need to put the opening and closing parentheses, and then we're going to start this one with an opening curly brace and then hit enter. Alright, I've got some errors. The first error I want to take care of, you can see on line 17, is I need to end this with a semicolon. Now the other errors that I have here are related to the timer task itself, and that's because I need to import the timer task first. So I'm going to choose to import timer task. The second error that I'm going to get here now is the fact that I have some unimplemented methods that need to be added here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to do that. And that's going to add this method, which is going to execute once the timer task is called to run. And so in this line 22, this is where I'll eventually need to be writing my code to execute once the timer has ended. We're going to go ahead and write that code in another lesson within this section once you've gone through and read the life cycle of an activity. But as for now, we're going to go ahead and create that timer. So I'm going to come outside of this, come to line 27 here on my code, and create the timer that I need. So I'm going to type in timer, and we'll call this timer splash. Now this is going to be used to actually set the amount of time that I need to elapse before the code is executed. We'll go ahead and say now is equals a new timer, and I'll have an opening and closing parenthesis, and I'm going to go ahead and end that with a semicolon. You can see that I need to import, or have an error which is going to tell me that I need to import the timer itself. So I'll go ahead and hit import timer. And in the next line of code, let's go ahead and set that amount of time that we need. So the timer is called now splash. So I'm going to modify the splash. And now I'll go ahead and hit a dot. And here are the options that we have. What I want to do is schedule the actual amount of time. And you can see down here is the schedule option. And now let's go ahead and type in schedule. And have an opening and closing curly brace. And I'll end that with a semicolon. Now there are two arguments that I want to deal with. The first one is, what task do I want to happen after the scheduled time has elapsed? Well, I want this to run right here, timer task. So I'm going to choose task to be my first argument. So I'll type in task, comma. The second one is, how much time do I want to elapse? And in this case, we're dealing with milliseconds. So 1000 equals 1 second. If I wanted it to last for 5 seconds, I would type in 5000. And in this case, we're going to try to start off with 7000 for 7 seconds, just so we can see that screen load for a few seconds and wait for it before it actually executes anything we have listed here within this run method. So that's setting up a timer within Android. And so far in the development of this application, if I were to run it, I would not see really any of the work that we've worked on so far, because currently the activity main layout is still going to load first. And then even if we got the activity splash layout to load first, we wouldn't have anything happen because we didn't write any code within that timer. But we will handle that in a future lesson in this section. So before I'm done with this lesson, I'm just going to go ahead and Control S to save my work.